Welcome to the Misha Wilson Show, where we show you how to create massive success online so you can enjoy the lifestyle of your wildest dreams. Hey, if you've ever wondered how to make lead generation more profitable for you and your business, stick around and watch today's video through until the very end, as I'm about to answer a question from a student when it comes to lead generation and really kind of show you how to think about your lead generation, and most importantly, tell you the one thing to focus on when it comes to your lead generation efforts to grow a hyper profitable business this year and beyond. If this is your first episode, my name is Misha Wilson, and over the course of the last few years, I've done over $15 million in total sales online. I've now generated well over 1 million leads in my online journey. And so when it comes to teaching on lead generation, this is all based on actually, applied knowledge, not just theoretical knowledge, and I'm really teaching you from in the trenches experience. With that said, if you get value, please let me know what your biggest takeaway was in the comments section below. And don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell icon notification button so that you're notified when I do more videos just like this. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so today's Q&A is actually from a student who just got started with one of our coaching and mentorship programs. And the question is essentially, should I be focused on getting cheap leads in my business? And if I'm focused on getting cheap leads for my business, how would I go ahead and get cheap leads for my business? All right, and essentially the question comes from wanting to go ahead and having the maximum return on investment with the actual, lead costs that are associated with going ahead and generating leads. So today I wanted to take a couple minutes and just kind of answer that question and tell you how I kind of look at, cheap leads versus expensive leads, how much should you spend per lead, how you should acquire leads, and so on and so forth, and really dial it all down to one single metric that you need to focus on with your overall effort. So I know for myself, when I was first getting started, one of the most confusing things that you kind of have to go through is you have to get used to all the various terminology when it comes to media buys, right? You got to get used to, obviously CPLs, ROAS, return on ad spend, right? CPC, unique CPC, cost per click, cost per outbound click, cost per content view, and literally everything in between. If you're running Facebook ads, if you're running Google ads, if you're running YouTube ads, there are, between those three platforms, probably 5,000 different names for all the different terminology when it comes to how to generate a freaking lead. And at the end of the day, if you're brand new, it can be mind-boggling, it can be ultra confusing, and it can really kind of lead you to spin your wheels and not necessarily making any progress in your business. And so I want to touch on the thing that I focus on when it comes to lead generation, the single thing I focus on, and then also touch on how that goes ahead and affects how much I'm willing to spend for a lead, how cheap I need to generate leads in order to create, profits, and how I can go ahead and kind of calculate that number based on, once again, the one thing to focus on. So a lot of people tell you to focus on a bunch of different things, right? Sales conversion rates are really important. You need to aim for, 3 to 10% sales conversion rate. You need to aim for 1 to 3% sales conversion rate. Depending on who you're listening to, it'll always be different. What I'm about to say might shock you, but it's also absolutely true. Cost per lead, sales conversion rate, cost per content view, all of that doesn't necessarily matter compared to one single number. And that one single number is return on investment, ROI. All right, now the fancy terminology now in 2020 and beyond is return on ad spend, ROAS. So specifically in the context of spending money on ads, it would be ROAS. So if you spend $1,000, you need to be very aware of making more than $1,000 back while going ahead and building your list, generating customers, and building your presence in the marketplace through, of course, setting up and optimizing the correct sales funnel. So what most people do is they get stuck in all the various terminology, and they get stuck looking at, all right, how can I get my lead cost from $10 a lead to $7 a lead? And what was really funny is when I talked to the student that asked me the question, essentially he was at a point where he was spending $1 and he was making $1.25 back when it comes to his actual return on investment, or ROAS, which is, for him just getting started, that's an awesome result. And the last thing he should be focused on is how can I drive the cost of my leads down, right? What he should be focused on is how can I scale the overall profits on the back end so I can make it, instead of spending $1 and making $1.25 back, how can I spend $1 and make $2 back? How can I spend $1 and make $3 back? How can I spend $1 and make $4 back? And at the end of the day, what you have to understand is every single different traffic source is different, right? If I'm gonna spend money on solo ads, I wanna generate a lead for about $1, because the truth is that while I love solo ads, while I built a very profitable business with solo ads, and while a bunch of my affiliates use solo ads are gonna bring in a slightly lower quality lead, right? A colder lead that doesn't necessarily have a relationship with you, and the targeting probably isn't quite as refined as other media platforms. And so with that said, with solo ads, I wanna spend about a maximum of $1 per lead. And if I can dial in $1 per lead, then I have the right funnel for solo ad traffic. I know that I can go ahead and break even with my solo ad spends, and I can have positive return on investment or return on ad spend, right? With Facebook ads, because with Facebook, you can get really dialed in when it comes to the targeting, because you can maybe do a video ad where it's a little bit more of a warmer, person who already knows, likes, and trusts you coming into your funnel. Oftentimes with the Facebook ad, I can spend anywhere from $6 all the way up to $10 per lead, and I can still be going ahead and seeing profits on the back end. So I can still spend $1 and make $1.50 or $2, spending, $7 per lead when it comes to a Facebook ad. For YouTube, we're at about, a $5 or a $6 CPL, but we still have positive return on investment. And so the big thing that I want you to understand is that depending on the traffic source, depending on the tactic, right? There's a certain way to run YouTube ads where you'll actually have a lower cost per lead, a lower CPL, so you'll have cheaper leads, but at the same time, you'll have less conversions on the back end, you'll have less sales on the back end. And so depending on the platform and depending on the tactic, the cost per lead or the goal to get cheap leads, the cost per lead will always change, and the goal isn't necessarily the correct goal. What you always want to be looking at is okay, right now I'm spending $2 per lead with my media buys. Right now I'm spending $5 per lead with my media buys. And spending $5 per lead with my media buys, I'm spending $1 and I'm making $2 back when it comes to my overall sales process and my overall return on investment. If you're spending $1 on spending $5 per lead and you're doubling your money, the last thing you want to do is try to get leads cheaper, right? What you want to do in that scenario is you want to spend more. You want to see how much you can scale that thing. So instead of spending $1 and making $2, you're spending $100 to make $200, spending $200 to make $400, spending $400 to make $800, and so on and so forth. Where if on the flip side, you get to that point, you say, all right, now I want to try to get a $3 lead instead of a $5 lead, even though you're doubling profit, what will happen very quickly is people will outbid you, people will spend more than you, people will say, okay, I'm going to spend $6 per lead instead of $5 per lead, you're trying to get $3 leads, and all of a sudden you have 0 leads, you're making 0 sales, and you're not making any progress in your business. And so long story short, forget about everything when it comes to, worrying about your cost per lead. Forget about everything when it comes to worrying about your sales conversion rate. Forget about everything when it comes to, worrying about your cost per unique impression, cost per video view, cost per this or cost per that, and focus very simply on return on investment. If your return on investment is good, if you're spending $1, if you're making $2, scale it. If you're spending $500 and making $1,000, scale it. If you're spending $1,000 and making $2,000, scale it. When those numbers don't look good, that's when you have to figure out, all right, my sales conversion rate doesn't look good. Let's optimize my sales conversion rate. Maybe it actually is that you're spending too much and your lead capture page is not performing, so you're spending too much per lead. In that case, we have to go ahead and optimize our lead capture page so that we spend less per lead. But the biggest thing that I want you to understand is usually, 95% of the time, focusing on how to get cheaper leads, focusing on how to get free leads, focusing on how to drive lead costs down is focusing, as my mentor would say, on the problem that isn't, focusing on the thing that won't necessarily help you to make progress, even if you solve the problem. And as a result, it's a very futile activity that as much effort as you put into it, it won't necessarily help you get to your goals, help you grow your business, and at the end of the day, help you make more money. So with that said, if you get value, if you got value out of today's episode, please let me know what your biggest takeaway was in the comments section below. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon notification button so that you're notified when I do more videos just like this. And until next time, over and out.